All right, if you were coming to Central Oregon and want to actually visit Bend, get to know the area, these are the places that you actually need to see. That way you can get the real vibe of the city. These are the top 5, actually 6 places to see here in town. Downtown. Now, every town has a downtown, but Bend's downtown is pretty special. It's actually 3 blocks, but it's really more like 6 blocks because it's actually 2 one-way streets, Wall and Bond. Now, it took me a really long time to figure out which one was which. The way I think of it is there's a wall between the downtown and the river because the river is actually right over there. It's a retaining wall, maybe, metaphorically. There's a wide selection of shopping, restaurants, art galleries, bars, notables. Sheesh. Deschutes Brewery and Brother John's are great brew pubs. 900 Wall, Zydeco, The Drake, and Boss Taurus are some of the nice restaurants. Goodies is the famous ice cream and soda parlor, but if you're feeling gelato, Bonta is another great option. Ola has Mexican and Peruvian food. Oh wait, I didn't say Wild Rose. The best Thai food, hands down. Shopping notables include Patagonia. There's a number of small, cute boutiques. There's Hotbox Betty that's been around forever, Lark, Jack and Millie. Cascade Cottons has your Bend branded swag. And Foot Zone, of course, is the official running store of Bend, unofficially. We didn't even touch on the night scene. There are a few different local clubs here downtown. Honestly, they've changed names and I haven't been to one in so long, I have no idea what they're even called, but there is a good nightlife down here downtown. We've also got some great bars. We've got Sideline Sports Bar. We've got JC's down that way, which, fun fact, is actually kind of where 10 Barrel Brewing was conceived. And then we've also got some other great bars. We've got kind of some really hip bars. San Simone, we've got the Dogwood. You should check those places out. And then, of course, for those whiskey and bourbon-loving fans, we've got the Still Whiskey Bar that's over on the other side of the downtown area. All in all, it's a great place to come visit in the evening. Then there's entertainment to talk about. I mean, there's art galleries everywhere that you can go check out. We've got the Tower Theater right here, the Volcano Theater Pub. We probably should have done a whole video on downtown. Yeah? Let's write that down. Do a whole video on downtown Bend alone. What's really cool and convenient about this next location is it's really only a couple hundred feet from our last location. This is Drake Park, Bend's most beloved and well-known park. It sits alongside the Deschutes River for almost a half a mile, and on the other side of the river are some of Bend's most stunning historic homes. There's a small amphitheater and pavers throughout, and a wooden walk bridge that'll connect you to the other side of the river, where, yes, there is another park. Harmon Park actually has a playground. Drake does not. It is also the takeout spot for most of the summertime river floaters. It's an important thing to note. Drake Park is also home to one of Bend's most well-known social events, Munchin' Music. Every Thursday during the summer, Bend residents are treated to a free concert in the park, along with a bunch of other great food and shopping vendors. Drake Park is also home to one of Bend's other most well-known landmarks, Mirror Pond. Now, between Drake Park and Mirror Pond together, this is just the Bend Park, the OG, the park that everyone loves to come and hang out at. You can, take a stroll along the river, feed the ducks. They don't want you doing that. Don't feed the ducks. Don't feed the geese either. Just observe them. They're cool. And just enjoy the peace and serenity that this park has to offer. It really is a fantastic park. You must check it out. How many Bend parks have you been to? Do you know that there's almost 80 parks here in the city limits of Bend alone? That's a lot. Now, it's well documented that Bend was originally a mill town, right? And the Deschutes River acted as a transportation mechanism for the logs that they milled. Shevlin Hickson and Brooks Scanlon were the 2 mills that were located on each side of the river. And while the mill days are long, long ago, back in 2000, the development group actually turned all of this area into a fantastic outdoor shopping mall called the Old Mill. And yes, it's right along the Deschutes River. It's got all the staples that you would expect from a social and shopping kind of gathering area, right? It's got an IMAX movie theater. It's got a variety of restaurants and clothing stores. It's got the classics like Gap and Victoria's Secret and Claire's. But what's really special is this REI behind me. It is actually built inside one of maybe the last remaining old mill buildings. This is the smokestack building. This thing is over 100 years old, and they've been managed to basically architecturally engineer it to where A, it's a really cool store because it's an REI, and B, the inside is just amazing. From all of the brick, the steel, it's an incredible feat, this store is. I bring everybody here, like when I have people visiting, I have to bring everybody inside this REI store because it is just so cool on the inside. Yeah, got off track there a little bit. Okay, but the rest of the old mill is pretty special too. All of the anchor restaurants that are on the river side have great patio seating that's basically right along the river. There's plenty of wide walkways for people to shop both within the mall and on the riverside. Here's a really interesting fact. There's even a fly fishing casting course throughout the old mill. Think like disc golf, but with fly fishing and fly casting to like work on your casting. Anyway, I think they had it. It used to be here for sure. At all times of the year, the old mill is a really special place to come and hang out. But in the summer, it's a whole nother level. It can be kind of crowded, but it's still a great place to come, do some shopping, catch a bite to eat. And if you come in the evenings, you can even take in a concert because the Hayden Amphitheater is literally across the river. All that to say, you also have the telltale signs of the Deschutes Brewery, kind of like silos in the backgrounds with beautiful mountain views. This place is magic. If you were to take one of these walking paths from the old mill upriver, you would eventually arrive at our next destination, which is Farewell Bend Park. Now, Farewell Bend Park is another long park right along the Deschutes River with tons of great attributes, playgrounds, etc. But it is also one of the unofficial, it is kind of official, they have a sign there, official launch points if you're floating the river. But more on that in a bit. There are playgrounds, boardwalks along the river, kid climbing areas, lots of grass for frolicking. There's a covered pavilion if you want to host a small gathering. In fact, across the river, there's actually a real rock bluff where people frequently go bouldering, and it adds some incredible depth to the surroundings. This park is just gorgeous most times of the year, and especially at sunset. Now, one of my favorite parts about this park is the access to the South Canyon Reach River Trail. Now, this starts at the Bill Healy Bridge, it kind of goes under, and it heads upstream, up the Deschutes River, about 1.5 miles through a fairly wild kind of canyon part of the river. At least it feels wild because there aren't any homes there. They are there, they're just actually up on the bluff where you can't see them. So it goes up 1.5 miles, there's a walking bridge, and then it comes back down another 1.5 miles for a 3-mile loop. A very, very cool spot where you can get out, get away, be on a nature and scenic part of the Deschutes River, yet you're still right here in town. Box Factory. Now this is another area that's kind of our latest and greatest. To say that this area is trending is a bit of an understatement because it is straight fire. Utilizing another old historic building, the Box Factory here actually used to make boxes. Now, that area has been transformed into a retail hotspot that utilizes both road frontages of Southwest Industrial Way to the south and Northwest Arizona to the north for stores, restaurant, and office spaces. Immersion Brewing, Avid Cider, what else? We got Miyagi Ramen. Those are just a few of the really great restaurants that we have here in the Box Factory. But my favorite of all of them, my favorite sandwich spot in all of Bend is Valentine's Deli. So good. There's also Bend's most important gear consignment store, the Gear Fix, a variety of other retail and office spaces located here. And then, as I've already mentioned, there's a large variety of beverage vendors. We'll just say that. There's the Bend Wine Bar, Bledsoe Family Winery. River Pig is a classic saloon-style bar, very popular right now. Then there's Avid Cider Company, Immersion Brewing, like we've already mentioned. And then across Northwest Arizona, the party continues with a food lot and local watering hole called Podski. And right next to that, we'll throw in another wine bar called Elixir Wine Group. I drive by Arizona fairly frequently, and so I can tell you with certainty that not only is the Box Factory a really hot spot during the day, but it's also a really hopping spot to come in the evenings. So you should check it out. Okay, one of the last areas that you've got to go see is the Whitewater Park. Whitewater Park? Yes! Bend has its own Whitewater Park. It's just crazy to me that Bend Parks and Rec was actually given permission to physically change the Deschutes River. Wow. But the result is one of the coolest wave parks in the country, in my opinion. So the Colorado Road Bridge used to have a spillway that was unnavigable. You were floating through the old mill, and then you had to get out, walk around, and put back in. It didn't work so hot. So in 2012, voters approved a $29 million bond measure that basically took out the spillway and put in the safe water passage. It also did a few other things like Deschutes River Trail improvements and a really gorgeous ice rink here in town called the Pavilion, but we're talking about the Whitewater Park. Years of construction in the middle of the river, we have a Whitewater Park. There are 3 channels. One that includes, I think it's 13 small little drops that get you safely through the whole park here. There's a middle channel, which I think has 4 big drops, including a wave that you can surf on. A wave that you can surf on. I'm not kidding, people do it all year long. And then of course, the 3rd channel is more of a natural area. They didn't leave it natural, they had to make it look natural, but it's really more of a riparian zone. It's very scenic. Point is, this place has something for everyone. Surfers are on this wave all the time. Kayakers usually hit the larger drops below for practicing some of their moves. Casual floaters usually hit the left side with the 13 drops, to get the thrills that it offers. And then the native zone is actually, like I said before, it's more of a riparian zone. Actually, what's really cool is you can fish kind of the lower section of this. It's pretty cool. Now, you really need to subscribe because we are actually going to do a floating the river video coming up soon, where we're going to talk about tips and tricks to have a successful trip down the river and to avoid getting dumped like this guy. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. These are the 5 or 6 different places that you need to know about when you come and visit Bend for the first time. I hope you guys had a good time. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and all of our other social media channels. If you are thinking about buying or selling real estate here in the local Central Oregon area, my team and I would love to be your resource of choice. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. River Pig is a classic.